Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Petrucci, and I have the privilege this year of serving as your first ambassador, representing the ambassador's cabinet and all of the generous supporters like yourselves who help sustain this program. On behalf of the ambassadors and the Orchard Lake Schools, thank you for being here tonight. Now, before I start, and just so I know my audience, I'd like to know how many of you are planning your exit strategy like you do at the end of Mass. Okay, don't worry, I checked. And this is not a homily, so we should be out here in under an hour. I'm joking, but I would first like to recognize Jason Knish, who serves with me this year as our second ambassador and partner in leading the ambassadors program. There he is. If you only knew how many times Jason and I met this spring working tireless hours planning the event, you would know that I'm lying. Most of the credit this evening goes to the people, Chris Sarnick, Lisa Gray, and Stephanie Gonzalez. Where are you at? Where are you? They put a ton of time and effort into this event and should be recognized for all the hard work that was done. I mean, heck, they made it so easy, I already agreed to sign up and do it again next year. But seriously, on a serious note, I would like to recognize Mike and Joe Obloy, who served as our first ambassadors in recent years. Where are you at, Mike? Mike and Joe. Their leadership reflects the long dedication of the Obloy family to the ambassadors cabinet and to the Orchard Lake Schools. And finally, thank you, all of you, for being in attendance this evening. The Orchard Lake Schools would not be the place it is today without the generosity and commitment of the ambassadors that are here tonight. Ambassadors impact. So through the Ambassadors Endowment, supporters help sustain the mission of the Orchard Lake Schools and provide resources for many projects on our campus. Recent ambassador support has helped advance initiatives such as the Shrine Altar Project at the St. John Paul II Liturgical Center, the renovation of the historic Orchard Lake Tower. Many of you don't know, we're cleaning that up, putting in new windows, a new roof. It's going to be beautiful. That's really going to set off the quad. And who can forget the Christmas tree lighting that brings the campus community together each season. This is a very cool event. If you haven't been, you really should consider going this year. The event was brought on by the vision, I believe, of our own Robin Goddard. Yeah. Robin certainly wouldn't want any accolades for this, or would he ever stand in this room and listen to a compliment? If you know Robin, you know what I'm talking about. but we appreciate you, Rob and Goddard. Now, the Ambassador's Ball has always been a celebration not only of generosity, but also of people whose lives reflect the ideals of our Orchard Lake schools. Tonight, we have the privilege of recognizing two individuals whose lives and ministries clearly embody those ideals. I would now like to invite Andy Harrington, Chair of the Orchard Lake Schools Board of Regents, and Jason Knish, our second ambassador, to join me at the podium as we present the FIDELITAS Medal Awards. The FIDELITAS Medal was first awarded in 1949, and this recognizes individuals whose lives reflect fidelity in service to God, country, in the Orchard Lake schools, and who embody the religious and cultural ideals of our founder, Father Joseph Dabrowski. Past recipients include individuals whose contributions have shaped both the church, society, including Msgr. Stanley Ulman and Msgr. Walter Jamba. Our first recipient is Msgr. Koper. We are pleased to welcome Msgr. Koper and his family tonight. Msgr. Koper is a graduate of St. Mary's Prep, St. Mary's College, and has devoted more than 4 decades of priestly ministry to the Orchard Lake schools. He served as rector of the St. Cyril and Methodius Seminary for 25 years, guiding the seminary through a period of academic and spiritual growth, and helping secure its accreditation with the Association of the Theological Schools. The Orchard Lake schools and the ambassadors are proud to welcome Senior Francis Koper as a 2026 FIDELITAS Medal recipient. Come on up. And now we'd like to invite you to say some remarks, Father. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to the Orchard Lake Schools, thank you to the Board of Regents and the administration of the schools. Yesterday, my brother Ron, who is here with me from Bradenton, Florida, yesterday he and I planted a Madison peach tree, and last night nature watered it, and hopefully God will oversee its growth. In 1954, at the age of 70, our grandfather, an immigrant from Poland, realized his dream in America. He became the proud owner of a 250-acre dairy farm. There is a saying, you can take the boy off the farm, but you can't take the farm out of the boy. I literally grew up on a dairy farm, but soon became a transplant at the age of 16 when I left home in Wilmington, Delaware, and became a member of St. Mary's Preparatory class of 1963 at Orchard Lake. And I'm very proud that some of my classmates are here to share this time with me. Initially, the lake became a home for 51 years. 3 years in the prep, 4 years at St. Mary's College, and 44 years as member of St. Cyril Methodius Seminary faculty. The Orchard Lake Schools faculty was instrumental in helping me realize my own dream of becoming a priest. When I left Orchard Lake after 7 years, I knew in my heart as I drove up that hill on Orchard Lake Road at the stoplight there, I knew that someday I would return to Orchard Lake, and indeed I did return in 1974 for an additional 44 years. 25 of those years were spent as seminary rector, and 19 years as professor of pastoral theology and church history. Another saying comes to mind, Grow where you are planted. I grew in many ways on the Orchard Lake Schools campus, and I am grateful for the numerous opportunities afforded me to develop a global awareness of the church, not only in the United States, but also in Poland and Rome as well. When I participated in a papal audience, when the Holy Father, Pope John Paul II, would meet with the Polish community on Sunday afternoon, I remember him grabbing my arm and asking me, "How is everything at Orchard Lake?" I met our saintly Pope on several occasions because of my association with the Orchard Lake Schools. The purpose of the Orchard Lake Schools ambassadors is to preserve and promote the ideals and purposes of the Orchard Lake Schools. Founded in 1973, I believe through the inspiration of John and Marcia Miller, Mennonites, who encouraged the late Father Walter Ziemba, President, Rector, and Superintendent of Orchard Lake Schools at that time, to solicit charter ambassadors like Leo Obloy and others to establish an endowment fund to ensure the future growth of the Orchard Lake Schools. The 12th Ambassadors Ball celebrated the centennial of the Orchard Lake Schools at the Fairlane Club in Dearborn, Michigan. 400 people attended on this momentous occasion. According to the centennial memoirs of the late Monsignor Alexander Sendrowski, former Procurator Treasurer of the Orchard Lake Schools, the Board of Directors, that was prior to the Board of Regents, it was Board of Directors, conferred the FIDELITAS Medal on its first recipient, Right Reverend Monsignor Lucian Bujnowski of New Britain, Connecticut, one of the largest Polish parishes at that time in Connecticut. 2 years later, in 1951, the Right Reverend Monsignor John Gulch became the recipient of the FIDELITAS Medal. I mention this because Monsignor Gulch was the first seminarian ordained to the priesthood from the Polish seminary when it existed in the city of Detroit by Bishop John Foley in the seminary chapel in 1890. Born on April 25th in Bydgoszcz, Poland, an immigrant to this country at the age of 3, Father John Gulch was ordained for the Diocese of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. However, his name first appears in the Catholic directory as being pastor of St. Michael Parish, Port Austin, Michigan. And Port Austin, Michigan is the tip of, it's the tip of Van Dyke Avenue. Take Van Dyke to the end, you end up in Port Austin. Having served there for 2 years, Monsignor Father Gulch at that time became ill and consequently went to Elmira, New York to recuperate with a priest friend. Later, he served at St. Joseph Immigration Home in New York City, where he assisted Polish immigrants at Ellis Island. My home parish, St. Hedwig, Wilmington, Delaware, was founded in 1890. And it was administered by priests from the Benedictine community in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. In 1896, Father Gulch was appointed pastor of St. Hedwig's Parish, where he served for 65 years and attained 72 years as a priest. As pastor, Father Gulch established the Polish Library Association to assist new immigrants to learn English as a second language, find jobs, buy or build new homes, and advocate for social justice. Known as a builder priest, Father Gulch planned, supervised construction of a twin-spire Gothic-style church seating 1,200 parishioners. He also was involved in the construction of a new elementary school and convent for religious sisters. Named a domestic prelate with the title Right Reverend Monsignor in 1949, the same year he became a FIDELITAS medalist. And if you look at the chapel, the altar in the grotto on campus, you'll see a plaque, Ksiądz Jan Gulch. He donated, apparently, funds for the construction of the Marian Grotto on campus. And Monsignor Gulch gave me my first Holy Communion on May 24th, 1953. St. Hedwig Parish grew from 200 families in 1890 to nearly 2,000 families with more than 8,000 members. Monsignor Gulch died on February 15th, 1962. Our beloved founder, Father Joseph Dombrowski, died on the same day, February 15th, 1903. A pontifical Requiem Mass was celebrated on February 19th, 1962, presided by Bishop Michael Heil and Right Reverend Monsignor, as some of you will remember, Wallace J. Filipovich, rector of the Orchard Lake Schools, as homilist. Monsignor Gulch represents one of the many fruits of the Polish Seminary, which produced numerous priests and laity who served the church, nation, and immigrants in America. May the Orchard Lake Schools continue the splendid tradition of providing leaders for the Catholic community in years to come. And finally, I would like to end with a quote from one of my favorite persons, Thomas Merton. In his letter to a young activist, he wrote, "Do not depend on the hope of results. When you are doing the sort of work you have taken on, you may have to face the fact that your work will be apparently worthless and even achieve no result at all, if not perhaps results opposite to what you expect. As you get used to this idea, you start more and more to concentrate not on the results, but on the value, the rightness, the truth of the work itself. And there, too, a great deal has to be gone through as gradually you struggle less and less for an idea and more for specific people. The range tends to narrow down, but it gets more real. In the end, it is the reality of personal relationships that saves everything. And as I reflected on my association with the Orchard Lake Schools, it's all about relationships. It began when I came on campus in 1960, and Father John Kowalski, at that time, our Dean of Men, named me, "Oh, Frank, welcome to Orchard Lake." And, well, I stayed there a long time. Thank you.
Monsignor. Our second recipient this evening is Father Stanley Ulman. We are pleased to welcome Father Ulman and his family tonight. Father Ulman is a graduate of St. Mary's Prep and St. Mary's College and has faithfully served the Archdiocese for more than 50 years. In addition to his pastoral ministry, he served the wider church through leadership roles on the Archbishop's Presbyterial Council and the College of Counselors, helping advise the Archbishop on important matters affecting the Archdiocese of Detroit. He has also remained closely connected to the Orchard Lake Schools as both a regent and a trustee. The Orchard Lake Schools and ambassadors are proud to recognize Father Stanley Ulman as the 2026 FIDELITAS Medal recipient.
Father Monsignor Koper gave you the history, and now I'll give you the mission.
Okay.
And I was very proud of the Orchard Lake Schools coming together with this document just in the past couple of years. The mission of the Orchard Lake Schools is the formation of Catholic leaders who engage their communities, their families, their work, and their country with openness, compassion, and wisdom. And then the vision of Orchard Lake is to aspire to be recognized as one of the premier Catholic preparatory schools in the United States, as the nation's foremost center of Polish cultural events, education, arts, and research, and as a welcoming place where everyone can come to pray, learn, play, serve, and connect with others. They emphasize a Catholic response to Jesus and his call for justice, peace, and love of God and neighbor. I was 8 years old, going on 9, when I set foot on the Orchard Lake campus. I was an altar server at Our Lady Help of Christians Parish in Detroit, and we had a newly ordained priest by the name of George Msgr, who organized a trip for the altar servers to Orchard Lake. We swam in the lake, we prayed at the grotto, we played baseball behind the library, and had a great hot dog and hamburger cookout. I fell in love with the place. And all through grade school, I kept saying, I want to come here to school. Well, that didn't work out real easily because my grandmother didn't think that I should go to a boarding school. My mother wanted me to go to her alma mater, which was St. Ladislaus in Hamtramck. But my dad said, if he wants to go there, he can go there. And so it was that I came to Orchard Lake, and I was here for high school and college, and that's where I met Msgr Frank Koper. I've known Msgr Koper now for 66 years, so congratulations on being the FIDELITAS medal winner. Orchard Lake is very close to my heart, and I've had some involvement in some of the major things, but the thing that I really enjoyed was being a mentor to the seminarians. When Msgr Koper was head of the field education, I received seminarians pretty regularly, both at my parish in Hamtramck, St. Ladislaus, as well as now at my parish in Rochester Hills, St. Mary of the Hills. And that kept me in touch with the seminary. In addition to that, I was on the Board of Regents as well as the Board of Trustees for the high school, and then also later on for the seminary. And I certainly appreciate everything that Orchard Lake provided for me. What I really appreciated was the example of the professors, the staff, everybody that was involved with Orchard Lake. I think that mentoring is very important, and how we live our lives certainly will determine how the next generation lives theirs. I mean, we have a very big impact on that, and I hope that to some degree I've had some kind of impact on those seminarians that spent weekends or even the whole year as interns at the 2 parishes that I was a pastor. Orchard Lake helped my vocation. It made me proud of my heritage, and it certainly gave me the academic, the physical, the social backgrounds that I needed in order to do the mission that I took on as a ordained Catholic priest. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. I don't know how many of you watched the Super Bowl this year. I often watch the Super Bowl to watch the commercials. And probably the best commercial that the Super Bowl produces is from Budweiser. And this year's was kind of a metaphor, I thought, for the Orchard Lake schools. If you saw that commercial, it's about a bond that an eaglet that apparently fell out of its nest has with one of the Clydesdales. And so the Clydesdale and then the eaglet constantly are together, and they show that. And then at the very end, you see the eaglet taking off as a great eagle. I kind of see that as a metaphor for Orchard Lake. Eaglets come, they are mentored by those great people that here dedicate their lives to education, to spirituality, to social ways of living, and consequently, I hope that they leave as those soaring eagles. May they have wings to fly.
Thank you, Msgr, for that. That's interesting. A young boy wants to go to a boarding school, and I kicked and screamed to not come to this school. But I got through, and my life would not be the same without this place, so I love it. I would now like to invite Chris Sarnick to the podium to present the new ambassador medals for all of you who are new to the group. There he is.
Thanks, Jeff. Congratulations, Msgr. Koper and Father Ulman. Wonderful celebration of ministry and service to the Orchard Lake Schools. Before we acknowledge the new ambassadors, of which we have an abundance of gratitude for, because there's an abundance of new ambassadors, I want to acknowledge ambassadors of a slightly different sort, and that is the OZAG, Wally and Joanne's OZAG student ambassadors. We began this as a way for students to help at events like this and be representatives in the community, and we have 3 of those ambassadors with us tonight, and that's Kayla Boss, Lexi Karcher, and Joe Smerecki. Will you please stand up? And I should mention that Wally's in our hearts. We lost Wally this year. Terrific man. I know I'll be thinking of him as the Polish American Knight at the ballpark, who Wally and Joanne have been such a special part of for decades, and a loss to our community, but we think of him with gratitude for all he did for the Orchard Lake Schools. Now, we'd like to recognize that we have 15 new members of ambassadors. So I'd like to call your name, and when I do, would you please come and join us? We'll present you with your medal and your plaque. We'll get a photo, and then if I can ask you to just move to the left after that, and when we get everybody up, we'll have a group photo of this great cohort of supporters for the schools. Steve and Judy Facione.
You're in trouble.
I know, sure.
You're in trouble.
Mr. Paul Herman. Senior Francis Koper. Kevin and Katherine Kosco. Eric and Joanne McGlothlin. James and Caroline Olekszyk. Michael and Janet Petrucci. Mr. David Poxon. And Mr. Thomas Reynolds, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, but we appreciate his generosity and is being accepted by his guests, Michael and Cheryl Shislovich. Kenneth Jr. and Nicole Smerecki. The great class of '63, Kenneth Smerecki. This is a nice problem to have, to run out of room for the boxes. Joseph and Rebecca Ulman. Dr. Edward and Mrs. Robin Wojtys. I screwed up last time. Senate, so. Got it? All right, guys, if we could kind of come together perhaps, and so that we can get everybody in this picture. We're going to need a drone, you know? Awesome. With the magic of Photoshop, it's all going to look seamless. Thank you. As these folks make their way back to their seats, I also want to acknowledge two other new ambassadors. And one is the Orchard Lake St. Mary's Prep Moms and Dads Club as perpetual members. Wonderful. And then Dr. Dean Reynolds could not be here with us tonight, but also a new ambassador this year. As well as Mr. and Mrs. Sandra and Travis Fox. Before we get to dinner, I just have a couple very brief things. I want to make sure we acknowledge our sponsors. Our event sponsor tonight is Schwartz Company, of course, Bloomfield Construction, Dillon Energy, our friends from Financial One are here tonight. Thank you so much for everything you do for the schools. And the family of Leo and Bernice Obloy, of course, special Drill and Reamer. Thank you, Mike and Joe, and for all that your family has done for the ambassadors. Lastly, this is an excuse to sort of plug Founders Day this year, but just this last week, the schools made their designations for the Alumnus of the Year as well as Distinguished Alumni, and I'm proud to say that 2 of those people are in the crowd tonight. They'll be joining a group that includes Father Vota as a Distinguished Alumni, very deserving. Mr. Jesse Venegas as a Distinguished Alumnus. If you know Jesse, you know why. And then there's a gentleman named Pete Facione from, as he was going to be a distinguished alum. And I'm really happy and proud to announce that his brother, Steve Facione, will be a distinguished alumni as well this year. Congratulations, Steve. And if you've spent any time on campus, worked on any projects, you've been over at the Shrine, you've been part of any meetings, you've been at Vigilia, you've been at any of the things that take place that need diligence, hard work, caring, and dedication, then you know that Mr. Joe Major is deserving of the Alumnus of the Year Award. Congratulations. My pleasure to introduce Mr. Andy Harrington.
Good evening, and I'd just like to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's nice to see a full room and a wonderful crowd. As Jeff mentioned, I'd like to thank Mike and Joe Obloy for being our most recent first ambassadors, Jeff and Michelle for agreeing to be first ambassadors this year, and Jason, you've got your work cut out for you for next year. So, I'd also like to thank our sponsors and not only our new ambassadors, but all of you that help us out every year and do the things that we need to do on the Orchard Lake campus. The ambassadors every year is something that when we have projects that we just can't quite fit into the budget or anything else, the ambassadors always step up and make that major impact on campus for us. So thank you to all of you. At this time, I'd like to invite Bishop Walter Hurley up to do our invocation. And Bishop Hurley has been instrumental in helping us establish our relationship with the Archdiocese of Detroit this year. He's just been absolutely wonderful to work with, and we consider him a part of the Orchard Lake family now. So Bishop Hurley.
Let us pray. O good and gracious God, we give you thanks for the many blessings that you have given to us. We give you special thanks for the place that you have given in our lives to the Orchard Lake Schools. Today, as we come together, we thank you for those who have gone before us, those who have made it possible for these institutions to continue, and those who are here tonight who continue to support the good work that is being done here in these schools. We ask you, Lord, to continue to watch over St. Mary Prep, to watch over the Polish Institute for Culture, and also the St. John Paul II Liturgical Center, that they may continue to accomplish the goals that they have set out to do. And we ask you, Lord, to watch over all of us. Help us to be faithful to the mission that you have given to us. And we, in a special way, come, O Lord, to give you thanks for the blessings that you have given to us and for the blessing of the Orchard Lake Schools and all the lives that it has touched over the many, many years. Those who have gone before us, those who are with us, and those who will continue to be with us in the future. So, Lord our God, be ever gracious to us. Continue to bless us, bless our food, those who prepare and provide it. Help us to be mindful of those in need as we pray together. Bless us, O Lord, and bless us, God bless you all.
Before we eat, I just wanted to mention, there's a lot of really nice auction items in there that I don't think we looked at because we were all catching up and having our cocktails. So after dinner, before you guys tear up the dance floor and blow this place out, walk in there, take a look at those auction items, and somebody will benefit from you being generous on these.